doors.
You're on. Okay.
Recording. I didn't walk into those doors until I was ready to be on.
Well, now we are on.
Yay.
Welcome to the Unedit.
That's the question. Are we recording live? Is this live on YouTube right now?
Yes.
Oh. Well, aren't we official?
Yeah. But then for podcast and stuff, I'll go back and chop it up and add sound and
So how's this going to go? Thing. People who get us live are just going to get us when they can get us?
They're just going to get us, I guess. It seems like our schedule is not really.
We were trying to record the Unedit on Wednesday mornings. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the year, that was the goal.
Yep.
And then my workout time got moved. Mm-hmm. And my workout is a rock. You know, they talk about putting the rocks in the jar. Rocks in the jar. Big rocks.
Yep. First. Big rocks first.
Workout is an H. Help myself. That is a rock. So workouts got moved to 9:30 on Wednesday mornings, which sort of bumped into the Unedit. Mm-hmm. And then just because we have a house that requires maintenance, we've got people here, I feel like every other day of the week.
Lots of moving parts around here some days. Yes.
Children. Mm-hmm. The yard guys. Sometimes you've got, what's that called? When they mow the lawn. That's what it's called. Landscapers.
Yes.
Or there's just people ringing the doorbell. But for whatever reason. And it just seems like Tuesday afternoon right now is a little bit quiet around here.
It's a lot quieter than Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah. Well, I just feel like everything is busy except for Wednesdays.
Yep.
So here we are.
There you go. Here we are. I'm going to close this so we quit looking at it.
So we can talk.
Yeah. And I won't need my glasses.
So I have another question.
Yep.
We're just recording right now, but you're going to go back and add like an intro and an outro to this. We need to make that decision.
Sure. I can do that we should record it and that way we'll have it the same thing over and over again.
Or we could do like they do on Morbid and just say, they have the same music every time.
Right.
Can you put music on that thing?
I can, but it's better if you add it after.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because you can sync it up and fade it out and all that kind of stuff.
I was just thinking if you could just press a button and it like plays our little...
I could. You just want to stop? I don't want
to stop. But we need to figure out what the music's going to be. We were going to talk about the fight we had. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
But this is actually ended up being how to start a podcast 101.
Well, last time we were always trying to make improvements over and over again, right? Like last time we did this, it was very dark.
Progress through iteration.
And yellow. And so I have tried to eliminate the yellow and the dark. You can't see this, but there are studio lights or whatever you call these the photography lights put up everywhere. But I hope it looks better. Can I mention
like funny that we bought these years ago? I don't think we've ever used them once. They weren't expensive. It was like
I think we used them at the
ish. We used them
one time. Yeah. But not like this.
And so you've been asking me where all this stuff in the garage is. And I'm like, it's just all the photography stuff. It's just in the garage. I don't know. I don't.
Yep.
And here we are. You found it all. It's all right here.
It's all in, except for I've got a few more lights I could put up if you want.
You do?
I do.
Good gracious.
3 more. Yep.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about the fight.
Said.
2 weeks ago.
Was that 2 weeks?
It was 2 weeks ago.
It's a doozy.
It was.
My heart is still a little bruised from it. I'll be fine.
I'm sorry.
So that's why we're here. We're going to talk about it.
Right.
Show how you work through problems.
Right. You're going to have to remind me on some of this stuff. I don't remember. I don't remember. What I remember is walking in the door and Whitney's yelling at me for not answering her. And I'm going, well, I was outside. I couldn't hear you yelling at me. And
that was trigger number 1.
And then she says, you weren't outside. I heard the door open. I heard the door close. And I said, well, that was me coming in and going back out. I was doing something, trying to get the pool.
You coming in, going back
out. And so I felt like I was getting yelled at for no reason. And that kind of started it
was trigger what?
Yeah, that was trigger 1. And then what happened after that? I don't remember.
There was a sweater vest.
Oh,
the J. Crew sweater vest.
So this is kind of okay. I mean, hang on. This is going to be a very long podcast.
Right. We're not here to recap the whole.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out where the best.
But you have to lay down some context of how this began. So, long story short is
very long story. Very short.
The kids. It started with kids needing hangers, and so I said, "Well, let's just go clean out your closet." Excuse me. And so I went up there and I was pulling stuff out of the closet that I thought was old or not being worn or would be good to give away. And I brought it down and I came into our room and Whitney said, just set it on the chair over there and I'll go through it. So that's kind of what started the whole thing. And when she went through it, she found a sweater vest that was brand new. And I think it got worn one time.
It got worn and then it got washed.
Was that trigger number one for you?
Yeah, it was a little bit of I don't know. I think it's important to recognize your triggers, but it's also important to recognize sort of just what season you're in. I mean, let's call spade a spade. Hormones, we can just calculate that once every
28 days.
Yeah. So that was probably a factor. And throw in a few other factors, just general finances. Those have been a lovely, not fun factor lately.
Mm-hmm.
And what other factors? I feel like there were other things going on.
There's always something going on. I mean, we were trying to, we're trying to do this. We're trying to
just in general parent, first of all, I guess. Yeah, and I don't remember what was going on with the kids that week, but
I don't either. And create things, creating content to share with you guys. And we started this new pattern thing. Are we talking about that?
Yeah, we can. We
can talk about it later.
We can talk about work later.
But I mean, it's just you have all of these balls in the air, and sometimes when you can't juggle them all, it spirals down into a pretty dang big old fight.
Man, it was a knockdown drag out in the proverbial sense. Only proverbial sense.
And
just to be very
looking
clear
back,
on that.
hindsight being 2020, and it's one thing that I need to work on and recognize about myself is when this happens, when I start getting triggered. I mean, the overused word these days.
You just rolled your eyes at yourself. Is it an overused word? Triggered?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We need to find a new word for triggered. Because everybody's triggered. They're triggered over this or triggered over whatever. Anyway, it's not that I don't believe in triggering. It's just a word that is getting overused. I firmly believe. Anyway,
okay. I'll add that to the to-do list. New word for trigger.
So Whitney came up with when things start happening for me and in my head, it's called the whirlwind. So my brain is spinning. Especially when I'm seeing red. Red is when I'm angry, and I don't get really, really angry that often. But when I
triggered,
when I'm triggered,
seeing red, turning red. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and so it things were said that should not have been said, and I deeply regret all these things that I said because they were hurtful to you.
But we could eat. I snapped at you for sure. I mean, that set you off. But do I owe you an apology? Did I say anything hurtful to you that day?
The good thing about me...
Are you crying?
No.
Okay.
I forget things. I forget. I don't... I have no idea. If you want to apologize to me, fine. If you don't, I'm good.
I'm sorry. If I said anything. I'm sorry for saying things in the past that I know have triggered and hurt you.
I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah. So it kind of got to a point where
but normally I would say I'm the one saying things to you. I'm the one who's looking for a button to
say hurtful things,
to say hurtful things. And that was a little bit different. You kind of came after me.
Yeah, it was
on a couple things, and we don't need to relive that.
Well, I mean, no, we don't have to, but I was going to say, I mean, I didn't hold back, and I do feel bad about that.
Every single fault and flaw I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's
you
bad.
so lovingly pointed out, which I have done to you in the past as well.
Mm-hmm. And we'll threaten to do from time to time.
I do threaten to do that from time to time. Like,
do you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there?
Well, I think I did. I think the next day. So during the fight, we took it to text. Isn't it The Godfather where they say like, go to the mattresses or something like that?
Something that came up the other night. Anyway.
It's like, take it to text. Just, I feel like text fighting helps. First of all, nobody can interrupt anybody. So you don't end up fighting about interrupting.
What she means by that is I can't interrupt her when she's talking.
But I can't interrupt you either.
Right. But you're not the interrupter. I'm the interrupter.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm the worst. Okay. I'm the worst interrupter than you are.
I know I have a bad habit of interrupting at times.
Are you finished?
Yes.
No, you don't.
Now we're going to be. Have you ever listened to the Office podcast? The one with Pam and who's Angela?
Mm-mm.
They wait. There's a full 1 second pause after each of them speaks, and I wonder if it's an acting thing. Like if they took acting classes and you wait for someone to come to a complete stop
before you start talking again.
Exactly.
That seems like it would really take a lot of time to have a conversation.
But no one would interrupt the other person.
That's true. And it's actually a pretty good habit to get into, maybe.
Maybe we should try it on this podcast.
I think we're trying it right now.
Okay.
Sure. I'm down with whatever.
But there, I think when you are text arguing, and it would be if you have text argued with your spouse or partner, let us know what you does it work? Does it not work? What's your take on?
Your take on
text
you do
arguing?
Get to kind of say all the things that you want to say, and I do remember not hesitating to push send a lot of these things, and backing out of where the little dots are going. Broop, broop, broop,
you mean you did back out of stuff?
I didn't. No.
Oh,
I just kept going. I was in it. I mean, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I mean, that's just, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it turned into misunderstandings on, things that probably, if I would have actually stopped and thought about for a second, probably would not have been taken the way that they were taken.
But question.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I had to swallow.
Interesting.
I know. We're going to have to figure out some of that, because sometimes I get acid reflux and I don't want to, I don't want that to factor into the podcast. I don't want that to be a podcast thing. Do you feel like I heard you out that day? Because I think that's important to me. It's important to me that, and it's hard to let people in my life know that I want to see them and hear them and love them, because sometimes my own agenda gets in the way. I have things I'm off trying to do or things I'm worrying about, and so if a kid walks in the room and says, some school story, this happened and this happened, and
Can I read to you?
Yeah, you're like, I have my own, and so I don't always take the opportunity to let the people that matter the most to me feel seen and heard and known and loved. And while when we were fighting, I definitely had a few points I wanted to get across, but it was really important to me on that day because you were really taking it out on me. And I was like, I want him to know that I'm hearing this. Like even if it was said in anger, I think it was coming from a place of genuine concern. And I mean, I just remember kind of just sitting there going, he needs to get this off his chest. You know?
As a whole, yes, I think I felt heard by the next day, and because some things had stopped that probably needed to kind of slow down a little bit. And
I was trying to buy trees.
A lot of trees.
I was landscape. This time of year gets me. I go spend way too much money on plants.
So, I definitely think that was heard and understood. And, I felt understood and heard, and scared to ask if you felt understood and heard.
Yes. I honestly think, I think that an interesting thing about the fight that we had was it happened on a Wednesday, and I don't think we actually sat down. We were supposed to talk on Tuesday night before we fought. We were supposed to sit down and have a budget meeting.
Somebody went and played pickleball.
There's nothing wrong with that. But see, how do you do that?
I just muted myself so I could cough. Just let me know when you have to cough. Give me the cough sign or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. I'll get you a cough button that we can plug in and you go.
Or a sniff button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, we'd never hear from you. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Especially this week.
Oh yeah. I'm struggling this week.
Anyway.
Where were we?
It was on a Wednesday.
Oh, we were supposed to talk. We didn't get to talk. It was the next Tuesday night before we actually sat down at the kitchen counter to have that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It took us one full week to get back into step and sync and cadence with each other to be able to sort of pick up where we left off before we both got. And I think that's a takeaway I had, is that fight cost us a week. Yes, it was one full day of texting and some yelling, but we really didn't get back on track until the next week. We lost a week in production. That was a takeaway I have.
I think we had made up by Sunday night. We had that conversation, but then Monday you're back into the rhythm of the week, or whatever rhythm that is. And then Tuesday night, actually, we sat down, and I think we both had a glass of wine or something. And you said, let's talk about this. You had your computer. You said, go get yours, and sat down, and
we did.
And we hammered it out. And by the end of it, I was like, yes, let's do this. And I'm motivated. Let's go do it. And from then on, I think we've gotten a lot done on that project, and we kind of need to keep heading that direction, in my humble opinion.
Okay, I have another question.
All right.
How long are we going to talk on this thing?
I don't know. Until we have.
What time did we start?
18 minutes and 24 seconds ago.
I just think we need to respect people's time. So do you think we need to set a timer? And
is there any, how do you wrap this up with a bow? What did we learn? How do we
help the listener apply this to their own life?
How do we show that we used the heart framework to get to the end of this thing?
Well, I think a great question, but I think it comes up in smaller, more subtle ways. So you've heard this whole story. How do we use heart in this? Starting with H, helping ourselves. We both have our workout rocks. We both have these appointments in our calendar, and we do these things for ourselves and our bodies and our brains, at these certain points in time, so we're both very good about drinking water and just making sure that we have that good, healthy foundation set. And thank God we're, knock on wood, healthy people. I'm just so grateful for health. So, some people don't have health, and that's a whole nother level of struggle. And then we move on to empowering ourselves. And not that we stopped and called our therapist mid-fight, but which we don't even have therapists, but we have done work in the past, really important work at onsite, which we should link in show notes.
Absolutely.
Because
I need to make notes. Actually, we did it twice. We did it once separately and then once together. And I think they both were
major turning points.
Yep.
So, and we, you know, anytime we have a fight and we're talking to our, you know, we'll talk to any of our friends about this. And we always talk about what we learned. I mean, there's always something that goes back to what we learned at onsite about how to fight. I mean, when we went for the couples weekend, that was pretty much what it was about. This is how to
fight,
to fight fair.
Fair fighting. Yep.
Fair fighting. Right. So we use, so having previously empowered ourselves, we use some of those techniques to help us get through that. Also, because I've seen you do your work and you've seen me do my work, I know that even if you're triggered at that moment, I can come back to you at a later point in time and say, listen, this is what you were hearing, but this is what I was trying to say. Because sometimes it's amazing how I can say one thing and you hear something totally different.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I thought girls did that, but you do that.
Not all the time.
No, not all the time. No.
Usually when it's a heated conversation, I hear what I want to hear.
When you're in lizard mode.
What is lizard mode?
Well, I happen to talk about the lizards in the book. The lizards are purple.
That's the amygdala, right?
The amygdala, that's the part of your brain that goes into fight or flight. And I just so happen to picture the lizard part of the brain as this, it's kind of a factory. So there's the neocortex and that I picture this guy at like a big spaceship and he like knows what he's doing and very dialed in. And then every now and then I picture this elevator behind him and it's going up and down. And there are messages on that elevator. Someone's running messages between the neocortex and the amygdala, between Neo, like the Matrix. And these lizards, and they're in a basement, and it's dark. It's fluorescent lighting, terrible lighting, not attractive.
Lizards don't care.
No, they can barely read. They like send up a picture to the neocortex, and Neo's like, "Here's the memo." They're like, "Oh, junk it." I mean, I have no idea if this lines up with brain science. I was reading Ray Dalio's. We need to know how to pronounce that. But Principles, which you would like. It's a good, he's an investor, entrepreneur fellow. Anyway, great. I was reading his book he didn't talk about lizards, but his language was descriptive and it made me start sort of imagining sort of a lizard scenario happening in my brain. And they don't communicate really well.
So what you're saying is if I'm active listening, I didn't pause for a second. Is that okay? Okay. May I proceed?
Yeah.
So the neocortex is receiving the stimulation either from, visual stimulation or hearing or something, whatever it is. And it's the is it amygdala or just amygdala? Amygdala.
A-M, looks like A-M-Y. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. Amygdala.
So the lizards are down there feeling, hearing, seeing this stuff come in, going, hey, this might be happening. This might be happening. This might be happening. How are we going to respond? And the neocortex is going, we're good. Or he sends down an alert or something. It says, you got to start freaking out. What are you talking about? You said fight or flight. So if the amygdala is telling you.
Well, no, I would think the lizards are getting information that Neo's not getting. Neo's just taking in every data point. The lizards are down here going.
They're interpreting the data points.
Let's subliminally, subconsciously, they're subterranean. I mean, they are. I have no idea. I think the amygdala is sort of in the center of the brain, but not a neuroscientist.
We heard loud noise. Is it gun? Is it car backfire? Is it whatever? If it's A, we go that way. If it's this one, we're staying where we are.
And so they hit some button and then all hell breaks loose in the neocortex. Like all of a sudden the shields come down. Neo can't see what's it called? The radar that protects the starship.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Not the tractor beam. The what is that thing called? The tractor beam is the one that goes out and brings them back. But they have to take down the
Are we both talking about Star
shield.
Wars?
Yeah, it's the shield.
Shield.
They
What
put up
shield is it?
That's some kind of
We've got to watch
crazy futuristic shield that they've developed that protects.
Why haven't they made a musical of Star Wars?
We are going off the rails again.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. This is afternoon Whitney.
You're just
morning Whitney.
No, this is just on Whitney. It's if you ask me to turn on, you're going to get a certain level of goofiness. If you want serious Whitney, don't ask me to turn on.
We almost did this on Friday night with wine, but we ended up having some friends come over, and so it got trumped.
But I think it's important for us to do this. I think it's important for me to let my goofy side. This is my real. I think I want people to see that we are real people struggling with real problems, but we're not going to let shame get in the way of.
And we'll share our fights with you and techniques and how maybe we didn't quite fight so fair 2 weeks ago. At least I didn't.
I think we need to give ourselves some credit.
Sure.
We worked through that. I think we used the tools available to us, of which, to go back to your question about how does that tie back to heart goals. Heart is one of those.
So if you have questions or anything you want to ask us, anything, you're more than welcome to. We will continue to be an open book about this subject. So,
and if you decide you want to make a musical out of Star Wars, I'd be happy to preview the soundtrack.
I would too. I would too. That'd be great. I could be Darth Vader, do Darth Vader voice or something. I don't know.
But to a beat.
Oh yeah, you speed it up. Okay, now we move on to the riffing and banter of pop culture.
We might have.
We're at 27 minutes.
Yeah, we've eaten up an entire.
Is there
episode
anything on this desk you want to talk about before we go?
I can mention that we're doing our pre-order palooza right now for our new planners. The reason why we are doing the pre-order palooza is because we've had a delay in shipment. They're on their way. We're not worried about it. But yes, so we have our non-dated planner, which is in this removable cover.
It's in the week on one page format, undated. Yeah,
week on one page. We need to link to this other video so that people can see that if they're curious about seeing that, or if they're listening and they want to view. And then the stickers came in this week, and those are fun too. So next up on my list is filming a video on those two things.
So I'm going to move all of this lights and camera and everything out of here and into a different room where we can.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
All good.
We'll make it all nice and pretty. Okay. Anything else? What's our big sign off? We got to come up with some.
And that's like back to the morbid girls. They go, keep it weird, but not so weird that you. I don't know. We got to work on it. If you have any ideas for intro and outro.
Because we figured you're probably tired of us going skibidi because we've done it so many times. I got to find a song that's kind of like that. Maybe some bed music or something. It's just skibidi doo bap.
And the beat
that's
drops.
Funny. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for being with us. Thanks
for watching. Let us know if you have any questions, comments. We appreciate you joining. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Can I take these off?